Somewhere in the frozen forests of Finland, a single farmer with a bolt-action rifle and no scope is about to kill more enemy soldiers than entire battalions manage in a full war. Over 500 confirmed kills, in under 100 days, and he did it the old-fashioned way, with iron sights and patience. Picture the scene. A white expanse of snow stretching to the horizon. -40 degrees, the kind of cold that cracks tree trunks like rifle shots, that turns exposed skin to wax in minutes, that makes every breath a visible betrayal. Somewhere in that landscape, invisible, a man lies prone. He has been motionless for hours. His breathing is controlled so that no vapor gives away his position. He is wearing white from head to boot. In front of his muzzle, a small mound of packed snow sits deliberately placed. He is watching a column of Soviet soldiers moving across open ground, men who do not know they are already inside a kill zone. The rifle in his hands is bolt action, 5 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. No scope, no magnification, no crosshairs, just iron sights and hands that have been shooting since boyhood. His name is Simo Häyhä. The Soviets will come to call him the White Death, and the rifle he carries will become the most lethal sniper weapon in the history of warfare, not because of advanced technology, because of the man holding it. No sniper before or since has come close under comparable conditions. This is the story of how a Finnish farmer and a bolt-action rifle terrorized the Soviet Red Army, and why the weapon itself was, in a dark twist of irony, Russia's own design turned against them. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how Häyhä did it, why he refused the one piece of equipment every other sniper demanded, and how the Soviets finally stopped him, at a cost that should have been a war crime. That rifle has a story, and so does the man behind it. November 30th, 1939. The Soviet Union under Stalin invades Finland with overwhelming force. The pretext is border security. The reality is territorial expansion. Finland has a population of under 4 million people. The Red Army fields roughly 1 million men along the border. On paper, this is not a war. It is an execution. The world expects Finland to fall in weeks. Stalin himself reportedly believes it will take 12 days. The League of Nations expels the Soviet Union, but no military aid arrives in time. Finland stands alone against the largest land army on Earth. The terrain tells a different story than the numbers. Finland's eastern border is a landscape of dense boreal forest, frozen lakes, and temperatures that plunge to depths most soldiers have never imagined. For a conscript army drawn from Ukraine or Central Russia, this is alien territory. For a Finnish farmer who has spent his entire life in these forests, it is home. And the Soviet tactical doctrine plays directly into the terrain's hands. Massed infantry advances along roads and through choke points, predictable formations, concentrated columns, vulnerable. This is the world Simo Häyhä enters, not as a professional soldier, but as a reservist called back to duty, a man whose primary qualification is that he has been shooting things in the Finnish wilderness since he was a boy. But here is what no one expected from this quiet farmer. Häyhä stands 5 feet 3 inches tall, a small, silent man who speaks little and farms near the Soviet border in the municipality of WWII. His size will prove an unexpected advantage, a smaller target easier to conceal in a snowdrift, presenting almost no silhouette to an enemy scanning the horizon. He is not theatrical, not boastful. After the war, when asked how he became such a good shot, his reported answer is a single word: practice. That one word encapsulates everything about the man. Before the invasion, Häyhä is a competitive marksman. He has won local shooting competitions throughout his region. He has spent years hunting in the forests of Karelia, learning to move through snow without sound, to read wind across a frozen field, to wait for hours in sub-zero cold without shifting position. These are not military skills taught in a training manual. They are the instincts of a lifelong hunter, honed across decades. He is 34 years old when the war begins, old enough to be steady under pressure, young enough to endure the physical punishment of winter warfare. Finland's military is outnumbered, outgunned, and fighting without significant allies. What they have is terrain, cold, and men who know both intimately. The Kola River sector, a stretch of river and forest on the eastern front, becomes one of the critical defensive positions. If Kola falls, the Soviets break through into Finland's interior. The Finnish saying during the war becomes legendary. Kola will hold. It holds. And the reason it holds, in part, is one man lying invisible in the snow with a rifle. History pivoted on this single stretch of frozen river. But what made Häyhä's kills so extraordinary was not just his skill, it was the weapon in his hands. A rifle that, in a bitter historical irony, started life as a Russian design. To understand the White Death, you first need to understand what he was shooting. The rifle Simo Häyhä carries into the forests of Kola is the M280-30, a Finnish-manufactured variant of Russia's own Mosin-Nagant, model 1891. Let that irony land. The Soviets are being killed by an improved version of their own rifle, refined by Finnish gunsmiths who took the original Russian design and made it devastatingly more accurate. The caliber is 7.62 by 53 mm rimmed, firing Finnish D ammunition. A round specifically developed for sub-minute of angle accuracy at distances between 150 and 400 meters. This is precision ammunition, not standard military issue. Each round is consistent, reliable, and lethal. The barrel stretches 28.7 inches, giving the rifle an effective sniper range, with iron sights out to 500 meters. In Häyhä's hands, most kills occur between 150 and 300 meters, close enough for iron sights to be devastatingly precise, far enough that the target never sees the shooter. The sights are a PEEP rear sight paired with a post front sight, no glass, no magnification, just metal and the human eye. This is the key detail that separates Häyhä from virtually every other famous sniper in history. He refuses a telescopic sight entirely. And this is not stubbornness, it is tactical genius. In -40 temperatures, glass fogs instantly. A scope lens catches and reflects sunlight, producing a flash visible for hundreds of meters that betrays the sniper's position like a signal mirror. A scope also requires the shooter to raise his head higher above the snow, increasing his silhouette. Häyhä, lying prone with iron sights, presents almost no profile whatsoever. He is a bump in the snow. Under these conditions, the scope is not an advantage. It is a death sentence. The magazine holds 5 rounds internally, fed by stripper clips, cycled by a bolt-action mechanism. This sounds slow. It is not slow in Häyhä's hands. In a documented demonstration, he fires 16 aimed shots in 60 seconds at 150 meters, hitting a target with every single round. 16 aimed hits in 60 seconds, with a bolt action. Let that number sit with you. That means he loads 5 rounds, chambers 1, fires all 6, reloads 5 more, fires 6, reloads again, all while maintaining lethal accuracy. With a bolt-action rifle, in under a minute, the weapon weighs approximately 9 pounds, rugged, reliable, and virtually immune to the Arctic cold that jams more complex mechanisms. Its serial number is 60974. This specific rifle, Häyhä's rifle, it still exists today, preserved in Finnish military collections. For close quarters engagements, when Soviet soldiers close the distance and the rifle becomes unwieldy, Häyhä carries a Suomi KP-31 submachine gun, a brutal, reliable weapon at short range. He will rack up an additional 200 or more kills with it over the course of the war, but the M28-30 is his primary instrument of killing. The Kola River sector is dense coniferous forest broken by frozen clearings and snowfields. The terrain favors the defender absolutely. Soviet forces must advance along predictable routes, roads, frozen river crossings, gaps between tree lines. These are choke points, kill zones. For a sniper who knows the terrain intimately, the landscape itself becomes a weapon. Every clearing is a shooting gallery. Every tree line is a wall. Every snowdrift is a potential hide. Häyhä has hunted these forests for years. He knows the sight lines, the wind patterns, the dead ground where a man can move unseen. The Soviets, many from southern republics, have never experienced cold like this. Their uniforms are inadequate. Their tactics are rigid. They advance in massed formations across open ground. They are, in the coldest possible terms, ideal targets. Häyhä's preparation is meticulous. He dresses entirely in white: snowsuit, white face covering, white gloves. His rifle barrel is wrapped to prevent reflection. He identifies firing positions in advance and builds snow blinds, low walls of packed snow that break his outline and muffle sound. Most critically, he develops a technique for suppressing his muzzle signature. He packs a small mound of loose snow in front of his muzzle before each shot. When the rifle fires, the muzzle blast disperses into the snow rather than kicking up a visible plume of vapor and disturbed powder. In -40 air, an unsuppressed shot sends a cloud of condensation billowing upward, a signal visible for hundreds of meters. Häyhä's technique eliminates this entirely. He fires, and the forest remains silent and still. No flash, no vapor, no indication of where the shot originated. Soldiers simply drop. No sound, no warning, just death arriving from an invisible source. The rifle is loaded. The snowsuit is on. The position is chosen. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union crosses the Finnish border with 1 million men. In the forests of Kola, Simo Häyhä begins his war, and within days, the Soviets will realize something is terribly, terribly wrong. The first days of December 1939, the Soviet offensive rolls across the Finnish border in waves. In the Kola sector, Finnish defenders, outnumbered and under-equipped, dig in along the river line. Among them, Häyhä takes his position. His routine crystallizes quickly into something almost ritualistic. He wakes before dawn. He eats a small meal. He dresses in white, packs extra ammunition, and moves to a pre-selected firing position, often a snowdrift at the edge of a clearing or a low rise with sightlines across an open approach. He carries the rifle and the submachine gun. He packs sugar cubes into his pockets, quick energy that is silent to eat. He reaches his position while it is still dark. He settles into the snow. He builds his mound of loose snow before the muzzle, and then he waits, sometimes for hours, motionless, breathing controlled, slow and shallow, producing minimal vapor. His body temperature drops, but he has spent decades enduring this cold. He knows how to become part of the landscape. By the time the sun rises and Soviet patrols begin moving, Häyhä is invisible. He is a white shape against white ground, no more visible than a fold in the terrain. He waits for targets to enter his range, 150 to 300 meters, close enough for iron sights, close enough that he does not miss. And then he begins. The first Soviet soldiers to die in Häyhä's sights never hear the shot that kills them. The kills come quickly. The thousands of hours behind a trigger before the war, the competitions, the hunting, all of it translates immediately into combat. He fires, works the bolt, acquires the next target, fires again. Each shot is deliberate. Each shot connects. In these early days, Soviet units do not yet understand what is happening to them. Patrols move into clearings, and men begin to fall. There is no audible report that the survivors can place. The snow mound muffles the sound. The cold air absorbs what remains. Soldiers see comrades crumple to the ground, then another, then another. Panic sets in. They cannot identify where the fire is coming from. Häyhä fires from distances where his small prone silhouette is indistinguishable from the terrain. By the time Soviet soldiers react, diving for cover, scanning the tree lines, Häyhä has already shifted position or gone utterly still, waiting for the next opportunity. He does not fire recklessly. He does not spray. He picks targets, drops them, and moves to the next. Within the first weeks of December, Häyhä's daily kill count climbs steadily. 5 in a day, 10, sometimes 15 or more. His commanding officers begin tracking his numbers. A chaplain attached to the unit starts keeping a separate tally in a small notebook. Word spreads through the Finnish lines. There is a farmer at Kola who cannot miss. What followed was not a battle, but a harvest. Now consider what this looks like from the Soviet side. You are a conscript, possibly from Ukraine or Georgia, sent north to fight in a country you know nothing about. The cold is beyond anything you have experienced in your life. Your uniform is insufficient. Your boots are inadequate. You are advancing through forests that all look identical, across snow that swallows every sound. And men around you start dying. Silently, without any warning, a man walking beside you simply drops. Then another, 20 meters ahead. Then a third. No gunshot that you can locate. Or if there is one, the sound arrives after the bullet, a faint crack lost in the wind. You cannot see the shooter. You scan the tree line and see nothing but white. Your officers order you forward. More men fall. You hear rumors passing through your unit in frightened whispers. There is a Finnish ghost in these woods, a phantom sniper who cannot be found, cannot be stopped, cannot be killed. They call him the White Death. The White Death. The name spreads through Soviet ranks like a virus, and it carries the same fear. The nickname Belaya Smert in Russian emerges organically from the terror Häyhä inflicts. It is not propaganda. It is not Finnish boasting. It is what frightened Soviet soldiers call the invisible force that kills their comrades without warning, without sound, without any chance of retaliation. The name carries a psychological weight that multiplies Häyhä's tactical impact enormously. Soviet units approaching the Kola sector know the reputation before they arrive. Morale drops before a single shot is fired. The psychological warfare is entirely unintentional, but devastating. Häyhä is not trying to terrorize anyone. He is simply doing what he does, shooting accurately, remaining hidden, and surviving another day. But the Soviet High Command is not going to tolerate a single sniper disrupting entire operations indefinitely. They decide to eliminate the White Death, and the methods they deploy will escalate from rational to desperate to outright destructive. By mid-December, Simo Häyhä has killed more men than most soldiers encounter in an entire war. The Soviets know he exists. They know roughly where he operates, and they are about to throw everything they have at one man in a snowdrift. Counter-sniper teams, dedicated kill squads, and finally, something no sniper can dodge, massed artillery barrages designed to destroy entire stretches of forest. The question is no longer whether the White Death can keep killing. The question is whether the Soviet Union can kill him first. What follows is the deadliest 3 months any single sniper has ever endured. The December cold deepens. -30, -35, -40. The kind of cold that freezes rifle lubricant solid, that turns exposed flesh white in minutes, that makes the very air feel like it is made of glass. In this cold, Simo Häyhä works. His routine does not change. Dawn, white suit, snowblind, wait. Breathe, watch. Fire, the kills accumulate with a regularity that is almost industrial in its consistency. 10 in a day. 12, 14. The chaplain's notebook fills with tally marks, each one a life ended at distance by a man the victim never saw. By Christmas Day 1939, less than a month into the war, Häyhä has surpassed 100 confirmed kills. 100 confirmed kills in 25 days. And he is not slowing down. The rhythm is hypnotic in its efficiency. Häyhä selects a position before dawn. He lies in snow for hours, body heat slowly leaching away, waiting for Soviet formations to move into the open. When they do, crossing a frozen field, Moving along a road, filing through a gap in the trees, he begins firing. The bolt cycles smoothly despite the cold. Finnish ammunition performs flawlessly. At his preferred range, those bare iron sights frame each target with lethal precision. He does not fire at maximum range. He fires at the range where he does not miss. The Soviets present themselves in ways that would make any trained marksman weep with gratitude. They advance in massed formations, clusters of men moving together, following doctrine designed for a different kind of war on different terrain. They cross open ground in daylight. They do not disperse effectively. They do not use the terrain for concealment. For Häyhä, it is target shooting under conditions he has trained for his entire adult life. The only sound after each shot is the metallic clack of the bolt being worked, a sound swallowed almost instantly by the snow and forest. The falling soldier makes no cry that carries across the distance. From Häyhä's position, the effect is almost clinical. Aim, fire, watch the figure drop, work the bolt, acquire the next target. The emotional weight of what is happening does not register in his actions. He is a farmer performing a task. Each number is a man who woke that morning and died without seeing the bullet. But the Soviets are not stupid. They are losing men at an unsustainable rate in the Kolar sector, and they know why. The order goes out: find and kill the Finnish sniper, destroy the White Death. The Soviet response escalates in 3 stages, each more desperate than the last. Counter-snipers. Soviet command deploys its own trained marksmen into the Kolar sector with a single mission: locate and eliminate the White Death. These are skilled shooters, equipped with scoped rifles, the very magnifying optics Häyhä has rejected. They move into the forest, set up positions, and begin scanning for him. They fail. Häyhä's discipline makes him nearly undetectable. He produces no muzzle flash. He produces no vapor signature. He does not move after firing, or if he does, he moves so slowly and so low that he blends seamlessly into the terrain. The counter-snipers search for a target that to their eyes does not exist. Several of them become targets themselves. The hunter becomes the hunted. Häyhä, spotting a counter-sniper scanning the wrong tree line, puts a round through him from 200 meters. The Soviets sent their best marksman to kill one farmer. The farmer killed them instead. Dedicated kill squads. When individual counter-snipers fail, the Soviets send teams, groups of soldiers tasked with sweeping the forest, flushing Häyhä from his positions, and eliminating him at close range. This is where the Suomi submachine gun earns its kills. When Soviet squads close the distance and the rifle becomes impractical, Häyhä transitions to the submachine gun without hesitation. At close quarters, in dense forest, the weapon is devastating. The squads that find Häyhä's area of operation discover that the White Death is equally lethal at 10 meters as at 300. Artillery. When precision fails entirely, the Soviets resort to raw destruction. They call in artillery strikes on the stretches of forest where Häyhä is believed to operate. Not aimed at acres of forest. The goal is brutally simple: destroy everything. If the trees are gone, the sniper has no cover. Shells tear through the canopy, trees shatter into splinters. The frozen ground erupts in geysers of earth and ice. Entire sections of forest are leveled, reduced to a wasteland of splintered trunks standing like broken teeth, the chemical stink of explosives mixing with the clean Arctic air. Craters in the snow still smoking in the bitter cold. Häyhä survives. He moves. He relocates to secondary positions he has already prepared weeks in advance. New snow blinds, new sight lines. The artillery destroys terrain, but not the man. Within hours of a barrage lifting, Häyhä is operational again, lying in a new drift, watching a new approach, killing again. The Soviets have tried snipers, squads, and artillery. They have failed at every level. But there is one day that stands above all others. December 21st, 1939, the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. In Finland, at this latitude, daylight lasts barely 6 hours. 6 hours of usable light. 6 hours in which Simo Häyhä kills 25 men. The Soviets launch a massed advance in the Kola sector, a wave assault designed to overwhelm Finnish positions through sheer numbers. The same massed waves that had marched into Häyhä's sights for weeks now come in their greatest concentration yet. Columns of infantry push across open ground toward Finnish lines. For Häyhä, positioned in his snow blind overlooking an approach route, it is the densest target environment he has ever encountered. He fires with that inhuman rate of fire, the same precision that had been documented in demonstration, now sustained across hours of combat. 1 round bolt cycle, next target. 1 round bolt cycle, next target. The 5-round magazine empties and he reloads with practiced speed, thumb pressing a stripper clip into the internal magazine, a motion he has performed thousands upon thousands of times. The bolt goes forward. The next round is ready. 25 men in 6 hours of daylight, 4 kills per hour, with a bolt-action rifle and no scope. This is what the Soviets are fighting. Somewhere in the Soviet formation, commanders are aware that one stretch of their advance is bleeding men at an impossible rate. Reports filter back, soldiers dropping without warning, no enemy position identified, no return fire possible. The effect on morale is catastrophic. Units begin to hesitate at the edge of clearings. Men bunch together behind trees, refusing to cross open ground. The White Death has become more than a sniper. He is a psychological weapon. His presence, real or imagined, warps Soviet tactical behavior across the entire sector. Officers cannot order men forward through ground that has become synonymous with invisible death. And still, Häyhä lies in the snow, that same rifle at his shoulder, iron sights aligned, breathing steady. He is not superhuman. He is a 5'3" farmer from WWII who has spent his entire life shooting in these forests. He is simply the best at what he does. And what he does is terrible. December turns to January. January grinds into February. The war continues and Häyhä keeps killing. The Winter War enters its most brutal grinding phase. The Soviets, humiliated by Finland's resistance on every front, reorganize and reinforce. Fresh divisions arrive from the east. New offensives are launched with greater coordination. The fighting at Kola intensifies to a level that threatens to overwhelm even the most determined defenders. Through January and February, Häyhä's tally continues its relentless climb. The chaplain's notebook grows thicker with marks. 200 confirmed kills. 300. The numbers become almost abstract, difficult to comprehend in human terms. He uses the frozen corpses of previously killed Soviet soldiers as cover now, the bodies stiff in the cold, forming low barriers that break his silhouette against the snow. It is grim improvisation, born of pure necessity. The battlefield provides its own camouflage. The texture of the war by this point is one of exhaustion and scarring. The forest is torn by weeks of artillery, trees reduced to stumps and splinters. The snow is trampled and refrozen into uneven ridges crusted with ice. Häyhä's hands are raw. His face is weathered by months of exposure. But that same 9-pound rifle functions without complaint, bolts still cycling smoothly, barrels still grouping rounds with lethal precision after hundreds upon hundreds of shots fired in anger. By early March 1940, Häyhä's confirmed kill count has surpassed any number the Finnish military has ever recorded for a single soldier. He has been killing for over 90 days, and on March 6th, his war is about to end in the worst way imaginable. Finnish comrades watch Häyhä with something between awe and unease. He is quiet when he returns from his positions at dusk. He cleans his rifle methodically. He eats. He sleeps. He does not boast. He does not describe what he has done during the day. He does not recount his kills or seek recognition. He is, in the words of those who served alongside him, simply doing his job. The job just happens to be killing more human beings than anyone in modern sniper history. March 6, 1940, 97 days into the war. Häyhä dresses in white. He takes the rifle, the same weapon that has not left his side for over 3 months, and moves to his position in the collar sector. The routine is identical to every morning that has come before. Dawn, snow blind. Wait, the difference is what waits for him. Soviet forces, after months of failure, have not stopped deploying counter-snipers. And on this morning, one of them finds his mark. Häyhä is in position, scanning for targets across a frozen approach, when a Soviet marksman fires. The round strikes Häyhä in the lower left jaw. The impact is devastating. The bullet that hit Simo Häyhä was not a standard military round. It was an explosive bullet, a type of ammunition explicitly banned by international convention since the 1860s. The St. Petersburg Declaration of 1868 prohibited explosive projectiles weighing less than 400 grams in warfare. The round that strikes Häyhä is precisely this type of prohibited ammunition. What it did to his face would have killed most men instantly. The explosive bullet strikes his lower left jaw and detonates on impact. His jaw is shattered. Bone fragments are driven inward. The lower portion of his face is destroyed, a wound so severe that those who reach him first barely recognize the man they have fought beside for 3 months. The Soviets, unable to kill the White Death through skill or through force, have resorted to a weapon banned by the international community for over 70 years. Häyhä is evacuated from the field. Comrades drag him from the snowblind, where he has spent months as the most lethal combatant on the entire Finnish front. He is bleeding massively. He is transported to a field hospital, where surgeons work desperately to stabilize him. It is crude, brutal medicine by any modern standard, suturing what can be sutured, removing fragments of bone, fighting simply to keep him breathing through the wreckage of his jaw. He falls into a coma. He does not wake for 7 days. 7 days. Simo Häyhä lies in a coma, while the war he fought rages on without him. On March 13th, 1940, exactly 7 days after he is shot, Häyhä regains consciousness. The news that greets him is extraordinary. The war is over. Finland and the Soviet Union have signed the Moscow Peace Treaty. The Winter War, which lasted 105 days, is finished. He wakes to peace with half his face missing. The timing is almost literary in its precision. The war's deadliest sniper struck down 7 days before the armistice, regaining consciousness on the exact day the guns fall silent, as if the war waited for him to return before it ended. Now the numbers, and the numbers are staggering. The precise tally of Simo Häyhä's kills has been debated since the war ended, because multiple sources tracked his count independently and arrived at different totals. His division commander credited him with 219 confirmed kills by rifle and approximately 219 kills with the submachine gun, a combined total of roughly 438. The chaplain attached to Häyhä's unit, who kept a separate and meticulous tally, logged 259 confirmed rifle kills and an approximately equal number of submachine gun kills by March 7th. The day after Häyhä was wounded, that puts the chaplain's total closer to 518. In 1940, Häyhä himself wrote a memoir, a document that was lost for decades and not rediscovered until 2017. In it, he estimated his total kills at approximately 500. He called it his sin list. Some historical sources cite a number as high as 542, with 249 attributed specifically to the rifle. The variation reflects the fog of war, the difficulty of confirming kills in a forest environment, and the fact that Häyhä often operated alone with minimal observation. What is not debated is this: the count that would become the highest in sniper history was achieved in under 100 days, with iron sights, a bolt-action mechanism, and in the killing cold, against an enemy actively hunting him with every tool at their disposal. Häyhä's recovery takes months. His jaw must be reconstructed using the surgical techniques available in 1940, crude by modern standards, but sufficient to save his life. When he finally sees his own reflection, the left side of his face is collapsed, the jawline asymmetric, the scars permanent. He accepts it with the same silence that characterized his entire war. He does not complain. He does not seek sympathy or attention. He is recommended for the Mannerheim Cross, Finland's highest military decoration. The recommendation is denied. The reason comes down to timing and administrative process. The war ends too quickly. The paperwork does not clear the necessary channels. The greatest sniper in recorded history is denied his nation's highest honor because of bureaucracy. Häyhä returns to Rautjärvi. He takes up farming again. He breeds dogs. He hunts moose in the same forests, with the same quiet patience that once terrified an army. When journalists or historians visit him in later years, he answers questions simply, without embellishment. He does not glorify what he did. He does not apologize for it either. He was a soldier. He did his duty. 500 souls erased by 1 man and 9 pounds of Finnish steel, and the man who did it went home and tended his farm. The Winter War cost Finland dearly. The Moscow Peace Treaty forced the nation to cede territory, including Häyhä's home region of Karelia. Finland survived, but diminished. The war proved, however, that a small and determined force fighting on familiar terrain could inflict catastrophic losses on a vastly superior enemy. The Soviets suffered an estimated 125,000 to 170,000 dead against Finnish losses of roughly 25,000. The ratio was staggering, and no single Finnish combatant embodied that lethal disproportion more completely than Häyhä. Simo Häyhä lived to 96 years old, the farmer who survived what should have killed him and outlived almost everyone who served beside him. He died in 2002, a quiet man in a quiet country, decades removed from the frozen forests where he had earned a name that still carries weight around the world. In 2004, he was voted the 74th greatest Finn in a national poll. A museum bearing his name stands in Rautjärvi to this day. His story has been told in books, documentaries, and across the internet to millions who never knew Finland fought a winter war at all. The mythology of Simo Häyhä has inevitably grown beyond the documented facts. Internet culture has turned him into an almost cartoonish figure, reduced to memes and video game references and exaggerated claims. Some accounts inflate his kills beyond any credible source. Others attribute superhuman abilities, supernatural cold resistance, impossible feats of marksmanship that ultimately diminish the real achievement by making it seem fictional. The reality is more impressive than any myth. Häyhä was not superhuman. He was a small, quiet farmer who spent decades mastering a single skill and then applied that skill under the worst conditions imaginable. His advantage was not magic. It was preparation, discipline, terrain knowledge, and a rifle that worked flawlessly when the temperature dropped below any threshold a human body was meant to endure. One exceptional individual with the right weapon in the right terrain can shape a battlefield out of all proportion to their numbers. Military thinkers have grappled with that lesson ever since the snow melted along the Kolar River. Rifle serial number 60974 now sits in a Finnish military collection. A 9-pound bolt-action relic with iron sights and a wooden stock worn smooth by months of constant use. No scope, no modifications, no laser rangefinder or ballistic computer. Just a barrel, a bolt, a trigger, and 5 rounds of ammunition at a time. It is, by any modern standard, primitive technology. And yet no rifle in history has a confirmed kill count to match it, not because of the weapon, because of the man who held it. Precision over technology, patience over power. The age of the super sniper began and ended with a farmer and his iron sights. The White Death earned his name, and that 9-pound rifle earned its place in history.